everybody, I'm Connor, that's Doug, and this is the Bethel School District Presents podcast, and we have a fantastic show this week. We are on location at Centennial Elementary, and we're going to go around the horn and have everyone introduce themselves, and then as a fun little tidbit, why don't you tell us the last concert you went to?
My name is Emily Smith. I am the librarian here at Centennial Elementary, and I got to go to the final night of the Eras Tour in Vancouver to see Taylor Swift.
OMG.
Yeah.
Doug is going to have something to say about that, but we will save that.
It was an experience, for sure.
I'm very jealous of you. Hi, everybody. My name's Angie Howard. I'm the principal here at Centennial. And the last concert I attended was actually the Wu-Tang Clan in Seattle last year. And fun little note, I attended with another Bethel principal, but I'm not going to tell you who.
Well, and Connor, you're going to have to say something about that as our resident Wu-Tang fan. But let's keep going around the horn.
I'm Ashley Ferguson, and I'm the assistant principal here at Centennial. And my last concert was Dashboard Confessional at Chateau Ste. Michelle.
Wow, some really great bands here. I would love to see Dashboard Confessional. Wu-Tang is definitely more Connor. And I was at night one of the Eras Tour. That was my last concert. And it was fantastic.
I missed you. I didn't see you a different night. Yeah.
Yeah, and I will just say I have seen the Wu-Tang Clan once. It was at the Gorge. They were on tour with Rage Against the Machine.
Oh,
so
wow.
really dating myself here. But yeah, jealous of more recent Wu-Tang concerts.
Yeah, it was a good one.
So we are here today at Centennial because all of you presented at a recent school board meeting to talk about the great things going on here at Centennial. And so I wanted to kind of turn this podcast towards our parents and start with Late Start Mondays. Everybody knows that we have Late Start Mondays most Mondays of the school year, and it's 1 hour late start, and the kids come in an hour late. But a lot of parents don't know what teachers and staff do with that extra hour. So you talked a little bit about this at that school board meeting, and whoever wants to take this to start with, let's talk about Late Start Mondays. What happens here at school?
Yeah, so we presented at the school board meeting, and we wanted to share that Centennial Elementary operates as one large professional learning community. And then from there, we break off into smaller teams, and we call those professional learning teams. So we're here to educate children, but in order to do that well, we have to learn as adults. And so on our Late Start Mondays, our professional learning teams come together to collaborate and plan and reflect. We kind of go through this cycle. So they might be planning lessons, they might be reviewing data from a recent assessment that was given, they might be talking about individual students. They focus on all of the different contents that teachers are teaching. So it might be math one Monday, and then the next Monday they might be talking about reading. And it's not just classroom teachers that are meeting during those times. We also have our specialists. So I'll let Emily talk a little bit about what Late Start Mondays look like for our specialists.
Yeah, we get to meet via Zoom in our Job Alikes. So a lot of our Job Alikes are meeting about curriculum things, collaborating, what's new, what's exciting, sharing what we're doing. So it's a time when we can meet with the people that we don't get to see all the time. So
I love that. So these professional learning teams, are those grade level teacher teams are kind of the crux of that?
Yeah, so all of the grade levels are meeting as grade level teams, and then the librarians meet with other librarians in the school district. Our PE teachers meet with other PE teachers in the school district. And really, if you think about any job entity within the school district, that's happening. So we have paraeducators in our building who have an opportunity to come together and collaborate and prepare lessons because they're teaching lessons to students as well. Our resource teachers, our special education teachers, even our assistant principals get together sometimes on Late Start Mondays too, right, Ashley?
Yep, we meet monthly to discuss things that are going on in our buildings and learning about leadership through that lens of other assistant principals during that time.
Well, and I'm glad you're talking about the kind of behind the scenes actions that make an elementary school not just a place where kids can come and kind of get the basic education, but really excel. And it sounds like it really is a team endeavor. So can you talk a little bit about other teams other than just the ones you've mentioned? I'm talking specifically about things like MTSS, community engagement teams, your PTA, everyone working together. How can you meld all those disparate groups together to create a functioning school? And Ashley, let's bring you in on this one. What do you think?
So I help run the behavior team, and so that looks at social emotional learning and behavior of students. And we know without that, then students aren't learning. We need kids in class and participating in order to be learning. And so we have a large team with representatives across the building from kindergarten through fifth to specialists and our counselor who meet almost weekly, if not every other week, to discuss data. So what is our data telling us about things that are happening in our school? We call those tiered systems. Our tier 1 systems are systems that every kid gets. So we have social emotional learning through our second step curriculum. We are using that data. We call them minors and majors, little behaviors or big behaviors on what we're focusing on. And so that team looks at, like, how are students behaving in the hallway? How are they behaving in classrooms? What are they doing in order to use the restroom during the day? Those kind of things that help a classroom function properly throughout the day and allow students to learn. And then we also look at tier 2, which is students that have a little bit of elevated behavior that need a little bit more support, whether it be social emotional learning or reteaching of the behavior expectations of the school. And so we have different people that are there to support students. We have a PBIS para who helps support students on an individual need, and small groups. We run what we call behavior academies, and those behavior academies help reteach behavior expectations, helping them relearn those behaviors so that they can be functioning and appropriate members of our community.
So in addition to the behavior support team, we have lots of other teams. Like you mentioned, we have an MTSS team that meets every Tuesday morning, and that is made up of various support staff like our title and lap teacher, our speech teacher, both of our resource teachers, and several grade level teachers as well. And basically, we just go through a process of how we can support students who just need something extra. So they're receiving that tier 1 instruction, whether that's academic instruction or behavior support, but they just need something extra. And so we meet as a team to really problem solve and kind of dig into what are the challenges that the student is facing, and what supports can we provide them to address that challenge. And then we track data to make sure that those supports are working. If they're not working, we try something different. We involve parents in that process as well, so we make sure parents know that we're talking about their student and figuring out ways to support them. We talked a little bit at our school board meeting about our equity team. We have an equity team as well, and Emily's our facilitator for that.
Well, the really cool thing about the equity team is we've been working together for a while and doing a lot of the district cohort work together as a team, and then we knew that it was time to bring it to the staff. So we started doing PD, and my favorite thing is that we get really great feedback from our PD. They're always like, we want more, we want more, we want more. And through PD, we learned about a closing circle strategy called shout-outs, apologies, and redos, which is an end-of-the-day community circle, which just allows some repairing of what was done during the day and to acknowledge the great things that have happened. And then the last thing that we've been working on was really looking at our students' cultures and really thinking about how that culture that they bring into the classroom as an individual, as part of the group, that's another of the lenses, right? The individual group lens, looking at how that impacts how they communicate, how they relate to the rest of the group, what's important to them and their families. So really allowing that to help us communicate more clearly and successfully with both students and families.
Absolutely. That's awesome. All those groups, really great examples of really behind the scenes work that's happening. Parents are going to be more focused on, what are the grades? How's the math? How's the reading? You all also talked about Eureka Squared, the new math curriculum, the new math update, let's say. It was Engage New York. It became Eureka Math. Now it's Eureka Squared. From your all's perspective, how has that implementation been going? What are the successes, struggles that you're having as staff? And how are the students doing?
Overall, I would say that the implementation of Eureka Squared has been very successful. And I say that because our students love it. So the curriculum has a lot of hands-on opportunities for kids as they're learning math, which we know is important. And it has a lot of student discourse. So that's a fancy way of saying getting the students to talk. And so rather than kids just sitting in a classroom and being talked at, the curriculum is giving them opportunity to talk to each other, to reflect on their thinking, to think critically, to question things. And so we have found we've gotten a lot of positive feedback from students and from teachers as far as that goes. I would say one of the challenges is that it's still something quote unquote new. So even though it's very similar to the curriculum that our teachers were already familiar with, it is laid out a little bit differently. And, some of the lessons are ordered a little differently. So it's still new. And anytime you try something new, there's just going to be those bumps and those hiccups. And sometimes Sometimes there's an occasional technology issue, just all of the things that you might expect. But I have to give a huge shout out to our teachers. They have accepted it. They've taken it on. They're working through it. And really going back to that late start Monday time, that is a carved out time where they're able to come together and problem solve and talk about, how they're teaching the lessons, what part of the curriculum might be challenging, and they're able to share, their knowledge with each other, which is important.
And, we're talking about academics, which is obviously incredibly important for any school. But what I love about Centennial is it's obvious you guys have a lot of fun here. Anyone who follows you on Facebook sees that you're constantly doing cool and not just fun for the sake of fun, educational fun. Can one of you or several of you talk about the importance of having fun in terms of community building for your school and why that's important to pursue?
I want to share, as part of processing a climate survey we worked on, we decided we needed to support each other more as a staff and build more communities as staff. So now in the library, every day after school, teachers know they can gather there and they can talk about their day, they can talk about successes, they can ask for help with support, or they can just laugh and kind of unwind. So we've only been doing it for like a week now. It's been really successful. I'm in the library, I'm always surprised at who shows up. It's like, oh, I'm so glad to see you here. So it's really been fun to talk to everybody and just kind of make connections we wouldn't always make, because you only see who you usually see. And this allows that entry point for new relationship building. And it's been fun. It's casual, but it's every day. You don't have to question, do I go today? Do I not go today? Someone's going to be there. I'm ready to talk to you about how things went or if you need any help with anything. And that was fun, something that came out of our leadership team, and we call it Pause, and it's been going great.
Yeah, so Emily talked about our leadership team. That's another one of our PLTs here at Centennial. So leadership also meets weekly. We have a teacher from every grade level. We have a specialist. We have a special education teacher. And we come together and, again, just kind of look at the school as a whole and try to figure out ways we can make it better. We spend a lot of time here, right? And so my philosophy is that this is kind of our family away from our family. And so we really operate as a family and take care of each other. Like Emily said, it starts with us. We have to take care of each other as a staff so that we can take care of our kids. Speaking of community, because it has to go beyond just our staff here at Centennial, we built a community engagement team, and that happened during COVID. We found it to be very challenging to connect with our families when we weren't able to see our students in the building. Shortly after students came back, things were still very rigid in terms of, how we were interacting with the public. And so teachers created a team called the Community Engagement Team. They meet to find ways to create those fun events for our students and families. They collaborate with our PTA, making sure that our events don't conflict. And really the idea is to bring the community into the school. So yes, we want our students to come to evening events. We want our families to bring the students to evening events, but we also want to partner with community partners. So oftentimes we'll have food trucks, we'll have vendors, local vendors that are selling products. We'll have them come in and highlight their items so that families can connect with community members, which has been really successful.
I love that. And you're one of our more rural schools. And so having the school be the hub for the community and bringing those food trucks out, that's a really awesome thing. Ashley, anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, just that one of the things you mentioned was the Facebook page. And that was one thing during COVID we really wanted to elevate because we knew that parents wanted to be in here. I'm a mom of elementary kids, and I get a really lucky viewpoint because I get to see them every day. But I know so many families don't get to see what their kids are doing every day. So that was something that was really important to us, to bring them in through that social media aspect and really just making it fun. We think about what do we remember from our elementary school days? You don't remember the math lesson that you had. You remember the fun stuff. And so making learning fun and memorable and engaging for kids is really important to us.
Yeah, and making school a place that they want to be. I think that's awesome. So one last question for all of you. You talked about it being, a family, a community, a place that the kids want to be. When is the last moment when you had just a moment of realization that, this is a great moment for me right here at school, when you found joy in your job?
I think we find it every day. I don't think there's one big thing that I find. I find it walking every morning. I try to walk through the building, and I call it my figure eight because of the way the building's shaped, and just see kids and just having kids come up and give hugs and saying good morning to teachers and asking what they need for the day and those kind of things. Those are what bring joy in my day, is serving and helping kids and staff members every day.
I'd say same. It's hard. It's every day, but I will say that having that pause time and looking around at my coworkers and having those moments and to talk and debrief and connect, it really makes me appreciate them even more. But every time I see the students, every time they make me laugh or drive me crazy or all those moments, I'm super grateful for my job. I love it.
That's a good question. And I was sitting here thinking, I'm going to think of a really good answer like tonight, like when I'm, eating dinner. But I agree with what both Ashley and Emily said. I think it's the little stuff. I think that's why something doesn't come to mind, because it's the multitude of little moments that we have with students or that we have with staff. I think about how I live locally and how I will run into students at Target or the grocery store, and just, the looks on their faces, and, they're looking at their parent or their grown up, like, is it okay if I go say hi? Or if I say hi to them, they're like really awestruck. They're not used to seeing us out in the community. So I just think it's those little connections that we make with the students on a regular basis. That's our why. And I think it's just so easy to remind us that that's why we do what we do, is to just be present in their life.
Well, I'd love all those answers. And because it's not you're going for these moments, it's all throughout. You're really in the moment throughout the day. It's the journey, not the destination, as they say. So I'm really glad that you all are enjoying your journey here at Centennial.
Well, thank you, Ashley, Angie, and Emily. What a great conversation we've had this week. We will be back next week with another brand new episode.